When we came out, it took 2 months, 3 months, and we were playing like mad.
Sometimes you just have that feeling. The feeling that you're onto something.
We knew that if we just kept doing what we were doing, that eventually things would come.
In the late 1980s and early 90s, Hard Rain was heading places. The band was hot, a big draw at home in Rochester, and on the radar of several major record labels. But as the band would find out, success all depends on how you measure it.
Just another war story. I mean, the music business is full of these stories.
Hard Rain got its start in 1987. Brothers John and Paul Akers formed a band with drummer Eric Welsh. They went into the studio to cut a demo and met an engineer named Rudy Valentino.
And Eric started playing, and Paul's playing, and they both started playing together. I went, oh, they sound pretty good. And then John started singing, and I went, oh, wow, okay.
It just so happened they also needed a guitar player, so they asked Rudy to join.
I mean, the first recordings we did on an 8-track machine.
The band spent the better part of a year writing and rehearsing before playing out.
I remember we played on Sundays, people would yell at us because the Simpsons weren't over yet.
The crowds at those first shows were small.
We would go out to the clubs at midnight and flyer the cars. It didn't matter if it was winter, remember?
Guys watch the band like this. Talk to each other. And you know those are musicians. And that's who you want to play for. And which made us much, much better.
Having a high-energy frontman didn't hurt Hard Rain's growing popularity, though John Akers paid the price, breaking both ankles and an arm in various stage mishaps.
So that's how we really honed our live show. We had no inhibitions whatsoever, and we just, John was all over the place, climbing on the bar.
By the 90s, the hard work was paying off. Hard Rain won several Battle of the Bands competitions.
It was probably the first time that we really thought that, maybe this is kind of cool.
No, I already.
Well, you already knew.
Record labels also began showing interest.
To me, the big thing about Hard Rain is that it was difficult for any record company to sign us because it was not clear what kind of band it was.
With the material they'd recorded, Hard Rain put out a CD called Peace Is Not a Fashion. The band's popularity was on the rise. Finally, EMI stepped up, offering a full record deal. The band went to Memphis to make an album.
When I play for people that don't know anything about Hard Rain, and I tell them the time period that that's written in, all of them, everybody I know is like, wow.
With a new album in the can, Hard Rain figured they'd cash in by hitting the road. They had no idea what would happen next.
So what happened was everything was kind of shifting more towards a pop kind of feel at the time. So they signed John Cicada, they signed Barney the Dinosaur, they signed Frank Sinatra. I'm not joking.
I want to set people straight about this because the music business is relative only to the time that you're living in. It changes with the wind.
After spending $275,000 on what was to be their major label debut, EMI cleaned house, dropping several bands, including Hard Rain. Their record was shelved.
I think we made a good record, a record that was worthy of being released. I don't think we made an undeniably great record, and that's the bottom line for me. And that's the only way I sleep at night, is just to take that personal responsibility.
Through the disappointment, Hard Rain kept playing. Valentino eventually left the band, and they later changed their name to Digital Jesus before finally calling it a day.
It is what it is. It was wonderful, and there were good things about it and bad things about it, and certainly can't have any regrets.
The original members of Hard Rain haven't played a show together in 18 years. John, Paul, and Eric all still play locally. Rudy lives in Germany, where he's a producer and engineer. The four frankly didn't think they'd ever play together again. But that is just what they're doing. This Saturday at Nola's in Rochester will mark the long-awaited return of Hard Rain.
Like an old
Riding a
girlfriend.
bike.
Old girlfriend
Like
riding a bike
with an old
girlfriend. Right.
At rehearsals, they found that old spark.
That's something I really miss about this band, and even with the practices, the enthusiasm's there. It's just comes.
And despite Despite all that's happened and what didn't happen for them, these days it's easier to look back.
Look at that hair. Were you putting product in your hair at the time?
Look back to a time when the band was ahead of the curve, but like many rock and roll bands, one whose time ran out.
We really brought the passion of our lives into our music, and I think that's what people really got.
Nice.
Seth Voorhees,
That'll do.
Time Warner Cable News.